Hello everyone, my name is Joe Archino and welcome back to This Is Why We Stand. Today I'd like to talk about Medal of Honor recipient James C. McCloughan. James C. McCloughan just the other day was at the White House and was presented the Medal of Honor by President Donald J. Trump. It was the first recipient of the Medal of Honor during Trump's administration, so I think when you look into the story of James McCloughan, it really is remarkable. He is a remarkable man, and his story is truly incredible. But just to give you a little bit of a background on his action that earned him the Medal of Honor, he was 23 years old at the time of the action that earned him the Medal of Honor. While serving as a combat medic on May 13th through 15th, 1969, his company was engaged in 48 hours of intense close combat fighting against enemy forces. McCloughan voluntarily risked his life on 9 separate occasions to save wounded and stranded comrades, and he sustained multiple wounds, and then he never left the battle site and is credited with saving the lives of 10 other soldiers. When we look at McCloughan's story and how he saved 10 fellow soldiers, how he went into the line of fire time and time again to save other soldiers and to bring them back to safety, he also had to be fighting during all of this. So having the job and fulfilling the role of being a medic is something that is so extremely difficult. And I think it's something that gives us, that leaves us a little bit more even in awe of a story like McCloughan and what he was able to do, risking his life on 9 separate occasions. And then remember, like I said, this is 48 hours of intense combat. His company was outnumbered during this time. And when you're in unfamiliar territory like this, and you're outnumbered like this, and then in one instance, on the second day of fighting, this was from his action for the Medal of Honor was from May 13th to May 15th. On May 14th, the other medic that was operating with the company was killed, which left McCloughan as the only medic specialist left in the company, and he was not going to leave the field of battle as it was with his injuries, but that kind of made him understand even more that as the sole medic left, he was going to be much needed, and that he did not leave the field. He never abandoned anyone. One specific detail of McCloughan's story that really stood out to me was on May 14th. McCloughan encountered a wounded soldier who had been shot in the stomach, and normally when he would go out to get a wounded soldier, he would carry him in what's called kind of a fireman's carry position, where he'd sling the soldier over his shoulder, but he wasn't able to do this because this man was obviously shot in the stomach, and that would really hurt him. So what he did was he kind of was thinking quick on his feet, and he carried him like a baby, like you would carry a baby, back to safety. In that instance, he said he had a heart-to-heart conversation with God, and these were his words. He said, quote, "I bargained with him that if he allowed me to live, I'd become the best coach and teacher and dad that I could be, and I also promised that I'd hug my dad and tell him I love him." End quote. Now, McCloughan never forgot to honor that promise that he made during that incident. Obviously, he lived and he was able to save fellow soldiers along with him, but when you kind of look at what happened to McCloughan after the war, he returned home to South Haven, Michigan, and became a teacher at South Haven High School. He taught there until retiring in 2008 and earned the Michigan Education Association's 40 Years of Service Award. As if that wasn't enough, he was also a huge athlete growing up, and he coached football, baseball, and wrestling. He coached football and baseball for 38 years, and he coached wrestling for 22 years. He's a member of the Michigan High School Coaches Hall of Fame. One of the things that really did strike out to me as well is, as a teacher, he would invite veterans into the classroom to talk about their experiences, and I think because for an individual like that, he understood, and it's very interesting because McCloughan, there's a lot of interviews that he did with the U.S. Army. They're posted on the U.S. Army's YouTube page. I highly recommend you go check those out. And in my written article about James McCloughan, I have a lot of those embedded into the article. You can see that on thisiswhywestand.net. But he kind of talked about how coming out of college, he was kind of set. He had a position lined up. And then he got drafted to go into the Vietnam War. And like a lot of people, he didn't exactly want to go to fight in Vietnam, but he kind of explained the mentality that he had and many other people had was, although I didn't want to go, I was going to do my duty and do what I was called and asked to do. That's exactly what happened. And I think that's why so many times we see that, especially coming home, our country was so divided during the Vietnam War, and veterans returning home didn't always get the respect that they deserved. We've done a much better job today of properly honoring Vietnam veterans, but back then, Vietnam veterans did not get the respect that they had so desperately earned. I think that's one of those instances you see there why McCloughan took it upon himself to invite veterans to talk to his classes and his students about their service. It's something that's very, very important. And one other quote by McCloughan that really struck out to me that I want to end with is he said, quote, "The worst 48 hours of my life, and I'm getting an award for it," end quote. And that was, of course, describing the Medal of Honor. And most Medal of Honor recipients would describe the action that they were awarded the Medal of Honor for of being the worst moment of their life. Almost half of all Medal of Honor recipients die during the action they were awarded the medal for. It is something that comes with a tremendous burden, and it comes with a tremendous price. Although we look at the Medal of Honor and it carries such a significance, and we honor these individuals the best way we can, the people who walk away and are actually able to accept the decoration, they have such a burden on them because so many people weren't able to come back home with them. And true character is shown in life's most challenging moments. And I think when you look at James McCloughan, he certainly showed that in his toughest hour, he showed his true character and the man that he was. It wasn't about him. It was about saving the guys who were next to him. And I think his story is just absolutely incredible. Everyone should be well versed in it and should take some time to read and listen to his words because he truly is a remarkable man. And McCloughan is now one of 72 living recipients of the Medal of Honor. 51 of the 72 received their decorations for service in the Vietnam War. So it's sad we're losing so many of our World War II Medal of Honor recipients and World War II veterans in general, but it's important that we remember these stories and we hear the words of these people who lived out these experiences because it truly reminds us of what's important in life and why we should never take anything that we have in this life for granted. But if you want to read more about the story of James McCloughan, I recommend everyone visits thisiswhywestand.net. Just wrote a huge article with all the nice little details about the combat experience and about the man himself, and you can find it there. But until the next time, everyone, Joe Archino here on This Is Why We Stand. I'll see everybody in the next episode.